Welcome to Close Up Television. I'm your host, Jim Masters. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. This is the program where we celebrate extraordinary people who are doing amazing things to make our world a better place. And we're very honored today to welcome to the show for the very first time. Matter of fact, we did some radio shows together as well. Dr. Michiyo Ambrosius. She's absolutely extraordinary. Let me tell you a little bit about her phenomenal background. She's dedicated more than 20 years of her life to her calling as a healer with a focus on mental health and trauma treatment. Today, Dr. Michiyo is the creator of the Neuro Bi-lateral Processing, which is NBP. It's a technique, new, quick, and effective healing method that frees people from their trauma on a cellular level. According to Dr. Michiyo, most people do not connect their physical and mental systems to their past trauma. Left unhealed, trauma can cause physical illness like autoimmune disease, migraines, diabetic conditions, and digestive problems, even cancer and dementia. Their doctors may recommend psychotherapy, but most psychotherapy is talk therapy, which is not always effective for healing trauma. This process, NBP, combines techniques from complex disciplines, including yoga, breathing, visualization, EFT tapping, EMDR, all to integrate the right and left sides of the brain and heal the trauma. Now, we're going to be talking about all of this and more with Dr. Ambrosius. She's absolutely incredible. Again, she works with her clients in such a fantastic way. There's actually the website. We're going to mention it during the course of this broadcast. It's traumahealingmethod.com. It is my pleasure to welcome her to our program for this very insightful conversation right here and right now on Close Up Television. Dr. Ambrosius, thank you very much for joining us here on the program. It's a real pleasure and an honor to welcome you.
Well, thank you, Jim. It's my honor too to appear on your television.
You know, we've had an opportunity to chat again via radio and had wonderful conversations. And it's so terrific when we get a chance to really break down a conversation like this. And I love to ask the question in the beginning of our guests on Close Up Television and radio, what inspires them to do what they do and do so well? You're so brilliant at what you do, and you're so kind and empathetic in every aspect of what you do. What inspired you, doctor, to become a healer?
Okay, well, it goes way, way back when I was in grade school. There was a boy who was unkept and very slow. He may have had, some developmental issues. And we, every day, we took a quiz. And he was scoring every day 0 points. And one day I raised my hand and volunteered to sit right next to him and started to prepare him and show him how to taking the test taking, and how to remember the items that will be coming up in the test, and possible answers, all those things. And he started to increase the score from 0 to 20 points, 30 points, 40, 50, 60 points. And my eyes are wide open and very surprised. And I knew then caring attitudes and expression of love and care, improve people's performance, people's demeanor, and everything else. And improving, performance is a fantastic aspect, because when we carry some trauma, people are trapped by their limiting beliefs. So that was beginning story, and ever since I'm focused on caring for people and focused on correcting, healing people's difficulties.
Tell us about, there's always a beginning to every story, of course, Doctor. Tell us about your early background and, how you came to this country.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Japan. And in Japan, from the childhood, everyone said, "Oh, I wish you a boy. Too bad you're not a boy." And that is an Eastern culture where male children are valued, male persons are valued um, more than females, and given more opportunities than women to grow and do wonderful work that they will um, be able to um, engage in. But women were um, not very much well treated, so to speak, and not given the opportunity. They are expected to get married and, care for her husband and husband's households and siblings and parents, and as well as own children to care for. So I really did not want to get into that kind of future. Another thing is when I was age 14, um, I saw this newspaper article that caught my eyes, and that described the young woman committing suicide. She was from farming community, and she was found dead with clutching onto a pair of red high-heeled shoes.
Mm.
And those red high-heeled shoes symbolically communicated to me she must have wanted to become, good professional while she was from farming community, and their expectations are so different from what she aspired for. And I said to myself, I am not going to let that happen to me. I have to get out of this culture, this oppressive society. So since then, it's a long story. Would you like to hear the whole thing? Um, since then, I started
Absolutely.
to
Yeah.
work after school. And then one day I went to American Embassy, and they had a library. Took out the directly of small local newspaper editors' names and contact informations. And although it took me 1 week to write letters to them, saying that I'm a student in Japan and I would like to find a host family who can, aid me and support me to go through school. And then one of the editor put my letter um, in his paper, and that was a beginning. And one elderly couple in Indiana volunteered to become my host family, and we corresponded several years because it took me several years to earn enough money to get a cargo boat ticket and Greyhound bus, and some spending money. And yen was all very much devalued then, 3 times less than current
Oh, yeah.
value. So pennies are, you know, accumulating. I should
Yeah.
say yens are accumulating. It took several years. And at age 20, barely, I was 20 years old, I finally told my parents that I am going to America and seek a good opportunity for me to test my abilities and increasing my abilities and do something to help people. And so, yes, yes,
And there's a wonderful photo of that, huh?
yes.
Bon voyage. That was a very special moment in your life, wasn't it, doctor?
Oh, very much so. This was written by father of my best friend, and they all came to see me off from their shore, the shore, and so yeah, that was a beginning. Although I was seasick for 3 days.
Were you really?
Yeah, it took 10 days to go across the Pacific in those
Mm,
days.
mm. What a fabulous photo that is. And then, of course, um, a marriage happened as well, a wonderful marriage. Tell us about this photo and the wedding and so much more.
Okay, well, yes, wedding took place much later, of course, from the time I arrived in the United States. And I went to school and graduated from University of Illinois. Again, I worked day and night to save enough money to pay for the tuition. And in that school, I met um, a young person who became my husband. And
A
so
tall, dark, and handsome man right there, right?
that's right, that's right. And he was studying judo from a Japanese judo teacher. And the judo teacher introduced us to meet. And love at first sight from both sides. And later on, we decided to get married. And in this picture, let me point out something interesting that shows a tradition and thinking pattern of Japanese people culture. I am wearing red tassel that is the top of a dagger and symbolically telling the bride that you must kill yourself rather than um, ending in divorce and coming home in disgrace. So it was life and death, marriage was life and death
Yes.
matter in those days in
Yes.
Japan.
Yes.
Because of that, we kept our marriage, not just because of that, because of our love, of course.
Yes.
We are celebrating 50th anniversary later this year. So
Congratulations. And there you both are. Yes.
yes, we are growing um, wiser
Congratulations.
together and loving together.
Yeah.
So yes, I have been very, very happy to be married to this man.
That is wonderful. And then, of course, there is the building of the education and graduation, and really then sort of setting your sail for this extraordinary body of work and career. And another very precious and proud moment for you, Doctor.
Oh yes, okay. This picture shows the graduation mm, that I graduated from a doctorate program called Pacifica Graduate Institute, and they emphasize Jungian approach instead of Freudian approach that most therapists are trained in. Although you know the healing methods changed very much from those times, and but I wanted to talk about at what age I decided to get into doctorate program, because I want to tell other people that never too late to start studying and train yourself to the profession that you really want to do and love, purposeful and meaningful. And I was already at the age 53 when I decided to enter this graduate institute, and it took me 10 years to go through the study, internship, and licensing, exam taking. Whole thing took 10 years. So that was the whole time. It was very, very interesting. That kept me going. But yeah, so at age 63, I started to have this professional work as a clinical psychologist.
That's extraordinary. It really, really is, doctor. I'm also fascinated by the work itself that you're doing. What is NBP? How does it all work? Can you define it for us, doctor?
Yes, NBP is short for Neuro Bi-lateral Processing, tongue twisting name. So NBP will be better to remember.
And how did you develop it?
Okay, well, that goes back way back to my life in Japan. And unfortunately, I had a mother who was in my opinion, abusive, and later on discovered that she had borderline personality disorder. And they very much emotionally volatile, and they shout and scream, and great deal of expression of their anger that
Yeah.
they are holding, and brunt of that I had to receive. And so myself, I experienced many occasions of these traumatic, painful experiences. And one day I was driving a car, and I noticed my legs and feet are numb.
Mm.
I watched the speedometer to measure the speed of the driving that I am doing. And finally, when I arrived home, I crawled into the house because still my feet are numb. And um, I screamed my head off. I made sure that, nobody will hear me, screaming my head off. And then numbness went away. So I took out an old tennis racket and went out into a spare bedroom and hit
And
the
walloped that
floor.
bed there. Yeah.
Yes, whoop, like this. And I, finally felt better.
You worked it out. Yeah.
Yes, worked out on myself. And that was kind of beginning of how trauma stays in our body. Cellular level treatment is necessary. And that was
Yes.
the beginning of paying attention to developing method that deal with cellular level treatment.
Now, I've heard of EMDR. Is that related? Is that something similar as well, doctor?
Yes, actually, I have studied EMDR, and even I have a certificate, and I have practiced with that healing method several years. Mm, but I found it something is missing, so I added the techniques from yoga practices and breath work that I learned from my own experiences. Um, you know, any emotions are forms of energy, and that those energy need to be expelled out from your body. Um, and breath work and hypnotic induction, um, and coming up with images. Um, Images are very, very healing instrument that we all naturally have um, in in the dreams and your purposeful dream imaging imaging visualization techniques. So all these are combined into this NBP, trauma healing method.
There's something else too that's quite fascinating, and that is visualization. Tell
Mhm.
us about how you use visualization and how that applies to all of this as well, Doctor.
Okay. People remember painful memories in the visual form,
Yeah.
and or in the flashback forms, or in the dreams, and sometimes comes back in the nightmares. But images, um, representations of what they are remembering. So in this technique, I have the client to um, erase their painful memories and then replacing with happy um, memories that they have experienced with their family members or friends or whoever else. And those healing imaging abilities will heal themselves from the inside out.
So we're really trying to visualize things that are positive, right?
Yes, yes. And positive or negative, um, visualizing is very much incorporated into method actors.
Yes.
Method actors, when they need to be sad or angry, tears come down, scenes, then they remember, an image comes to them with a sad situations that they have experienced in their past. And or if they want to be joyful and happy in the movie scenes, then they remember the visual images of happy and joyous moments that they experience, and they act out on, be in front of their camera. And so that is another thing that I have
Very
incorporated
important.
at the inspiration from.
Tell us about the importance of getting enough sleep. We hear so much about sleep and how not getting enough sleep can really lead to some physical illnesses, diseases, and ailments as well. Getting enough sleep is paramount, isn't it, Doctor?
It is. It is. Um, Sleeping is really, really valuable activities, healing activities. And some people, it's too bad. Some people think of, taking a nap or sleeping required amount of time can be waste of time. No, that is not true. During the sleep, the images comes in the form of dreams, do the healing work. um, and also other times, non-dreaming situations do all sort of healing work in your body and mind and spirit. So sleeping is very, very important activities. And even in millions of evolution, if it was wasteful, would not have developed into our being. But we still, are able to dream and sleep, because all mammals sleep, and because the sleeping time repair their imperfections, so to speak, or hurt, or difficult memories. And also, of course, memorize good things as well.
Positive things. Yes, absolutely. The other thing, too, that some of us don't do, and we forget to do it, and it's the importance of breathing. and not just breathing, from up here, but from the diaphragm, from the abdomen, and professional athletes and singers and those who use their voice as part of their tool, as their talent, they know that real deep breathing is so important because there's just something that happens. Even when you go to the doctor and they say, take a deep breath,
Mhm,
it's a
mhm.
lot of times we're so running around, we're going, we're hyperventilating and we're not getting those
That's
deep breaths.
right.
Tell us
Mhm.
about the importance of the deep breathing, especially the abdominal breathing, doctor.
Okay. Abdominal breathing, again, is a very, very good instrument for you to do the healing. Actually, my when my client comes into my consulting room um, for the first session, I usually teach them how to breathe effectively, and use of your abdomen is very important. Shall I show you? Okay, so expand your abdomen um, as you breathe in so that the lower part of the lungs are expanding as you breathe in, and that contain more oxygen into lower part of the lungs that send a message to the brain. Calm down. Mm, you are safe, and just relax. And treatment of anxiety can be effectively treated with this kind of breathing. Of course, deep breathing alone is not, heal the anxiety situations, but abdomen is very, very important um, body part that more of us need to utilize.
There's
Yep.
another area that's really important that can help with all of this, and it's tapping. It's tapping, and I think that's really fantastic. I've even done it myself. When you feel like stressed,
Mhm,
or maybe you're getting a little angry about something that just happened, or somebody said
mhm.
something a certain way. Tell us about tapping, how it works, and the importance of tapping in all of this, doctor.
Okay, well, so shall I demonstrate my anger management?
Yes,
Very.
if you would like to do that. Yeah.
That's right. All right, let me stand up again
All
and
right.
show my abdomen. And people carry their anger in the abdomen, sadness in the chest. But abdomen can be poked up, tap, yes, tapping or poking. And let me show you very quickly how to get rid of your anger. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ha! 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 So there. And very quick and easy way to get rid of your angry feelings.
That's fantastic. And then that takes care of that. There are other techniques to sort of manage anger as well. And tapping is one of them, right? There are some trigger points, places where we can tap that
Mhm.
actually help reduce the stress, right?
Yes, that is called EFT,
Yes.
emotional freedom technique.
Yes.
And it goes like this, tapping, and the side of your eyes, and underneath the eyes, and underneath your um, nose and the chin, and then this or that side of uh, underneath the collarbone, and then go to the side of your torso. And yeah, emotions can be, especially negative emotion, can be um, freed.
Absolutely.
And
We're talking as well about trauma, and you've been so open and authentic and real about expressing even your own personal experiences with that. Um, What do you think, doctor, from your expertise and your perspective, what makes trauma unique? And as you're defining and describing and detailing that for us, we'll show some amazing visualizations that we have here of the actual brain itself. Tell us about what makes trauma unique.
Okay, well, unlike other types of memories, trauma memories goes down into the inner part of the brain, not into the cognitive brain, um, middle brain, and brain stem. And often people forget about the painful memories because they are not in the cognitive area of the brain. And therefore, um, talking therapies are not effective ways to treat traumas. So use of tapping, use of breath work, and imagining work, all combined to heal traumatic memories. And tapping of right side and left side of the our body parts is very important, very much involved, because you stimulate left and right side of the nervous system that are connected to left and right side of the brain. So memories that are kept in the right side of the brain need to be healed by
Yeah.
left side of the brain. That is the logical side and analytical side. So by tapping movements like this, the nervous systems are stimulated and integrations of different parts of the brain can occur.
So we can see the various sides, the left and right side here. Tell us what we're looking at here, doctor.
Okay, again, this is cross section of the brain, and at the center, that is brain stem that controls vital functions such as breath, digestion, heartbeat, blood circulation, and temperature, body temperature control are controlled by brain stem. And our outer brain, shown with a red line, that is called inner brain or mammalian brain. And mammalian means animal brain. And that is where the trauma memories go to. And amygdala is the main portion of our brain that controls our memories, emotions, I should say, and hippocampus controls memories. So the especially painful memories go into that layer of our brain, and of course the green line indicates a cognitive part of the brain. So trauma can be healed by tapping motions that stimulate left and right side of the brain, and integration occur by the stimulation of both sides of our brain. And that is one of the reasons healing can occur in patients and clients.
And I know you wanted to talk about the importance of caregivers and
Mhm.
also the child's brain. And as we're talking about that, we'll show some wonderful visualizations we have of the child brain. This one in a supportive environment. Define for us the presence of caregivers giving support, comfort, soothing, reassurance, explanation, and the importance of a child being surrounded by a supportive environment, what actually happens.
Yes. Well, this shows a child's brain. And of course, at a newborn stage, mostly the brain stem is there. And gradually, mammalian brain, inner brain develops and controls logic and emotions. And then finally, cognitive layer of the brain will develop gradually. And completion of the development of a brain does not take place until 23, 24, 25 years old. So child's brain is very delicate, and also less amount of cognitive layer is developed. So having to have a good caregiver uh, who can comfort them when they have inevitably experienced incidents that make them angry or hurt or afraid and guilty, all sort of life experiences that can be painful, and having good caregiving person give them the support, explanation of why these things are happening, and how to deal with those situations are very important for the children, so that they can develop their outer brain, I would say cognitive brain, that have a cognition of I'm okay, I'm capable. And those children grow up to be very resilient and very capable people.
Handling life and all of the trials and tribulations that life can bring us,
That's right.
right? Which
That's
is
right.
a beautiful thing. Now, there are times when the environment is unsafe and not supportive. And we see demonstrated in this next visualization and this graphic that things happen when a child early on in their life is not surrounded by the love and the care and the support, as we see here. Tell us about
Mhm.
what's happening here.
Okay, as I said, the cognitive part of the brain is not developed very well. So blunt of shouting or hitting or unkind words um, can really affect children's brain and remain in there as forms of painful memories or scary memories. And then the if the uncaring environment continue, they will develop the cognition or self-identity of I I must be there must be something wrong with me, or if they are not able to handle some painful situations, they'll develop belief about themselves. I'm not capable. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. Those limiting beliefs will develop and can last for rest of their lives unless they are treated and their cognitive notion can be changed
Hmm.
of
Yeah.
limiting beliefs.
That's so very important. And when people just look at this chart here, they see how it all really works. One of
Mm.
the joys of this work for you is you want to bring joy and positivity and purpose to people's lives through MVP. Tell us about that, Doctor.
Okay, so I have developed this technique by my own experiences and combined with other techniques that I learned through my professional development. And so, in my opinion, everyone experience trauma or painful experiences, and that can be stored in the inner part of the brain and in the body in the cellular level. So I have decided that this technique need to be known in in the society where everyone is carrying these painful memories and anger and sadness. Um, so to take away the trauma memories is a very, very important function or healing activities in order to have the people to become happier and joyous,
Mm.
less anger carrying person, um, and worrisome people. So it is very, very important function that we we could apply to the people who are hurt and carrying the painful memories. However, a lot of people do not realize they are carrying painful memories and traumatic experiences because the real symptoms of trauma do not show up until 10, 20, 30, even 40 years later.
Mm.
Or naturally, people do not, equate the symptoms with earlier life experience of hurting or anger provoking or fear, increasing events and experiences. So
Now,
they usually go to medical doctors.
yes, they'll go right to their primary care physician and say,
Right.
"Why am I getting stomach
Right.
aches and headaches and
Mhm.
physical pain and things of that nature?"
Right.
As far as the folks that you're working with, is it primarily folks who are dealing with trauma, or are you also dealing with folks, for clients who are just really looking for some inspiration in their lives?
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, my work is not only trauma healing, although, in my opinion, everyone is, carrying trauma memories, so that is involved, of course.
Yeah.
But I, from my own personal experiences, um, I had to work on myself to become happier person, more joyous person, and more loving person. And so I do work with the people who are having limiting beliefs, carrying limiting beliefs that were, developed from the time of their trauma experiences. So, removing of those trauma experiences, memories, um, uh, y- very important to have them unstuck from their lives and finally um, blooming stage of life need to be guided and is inspired.
Inspired. So maybe you can give us an example of what those first few minutes, like a first session, is like when you're working with a client for the very first time. Maybe take us through what that process is like.
Okay, well, most importantly, the trust need to be, developed. So rapport building and yeah, showing of that I care and understand what they are experiencing. Um, so those are the very, very important beginning activities. And also, in the first session, I usually teach how to breathe deeply, abdominally, to heal themselves and have them feel more comfortable in their own skin, so to speak.
You know, you mentioned trust, and that really is essential. It's creating that safe environment, that non-judgmental environment is essential because I would imagine, doctor, that oftentimes your clients will be open and revealing to you in ways that they aren't even with their closest loved ones and friends, right? They feel
Mhm.
comfortable and they feel non-judged and accepted by you
Mhm.
because you've created this trust between you and them and you. So the trust really is an essential ingredient in all of your work.
Oh, yeah, very, very important to develop mutual trust. And especially people who had very painful experiences in their past, such as, sexual traumas, um, molestation, or actual, sexual violences. And they don't bring those items right away, of course. Um, and because they have not even spoken about it to their, loved ones or parents, they carry the burden of the hurt for a long time. And after several months, sometimes they finally, I had this experience and I would like to talk about it. So several months, of course, several weeks, that um, trusting, um, healing alliance need to take place all
Yeah.
along.
Now, when you're meeting with your clients, is it a set number of sessions or one session, or is it sort of customized for each client and what their needs are?
Yes. Well, however, I do not give them, number of times that I will see them. Um, so we'll just go along with a time period that they want to spend with in a healing environment. Um, so sometimes in the case of lighter trauma experiences can be treated in only like 2 or 3 sessions. So that can be, counted as a counting of the sessions. But usually I do not say, it takes such and such times to treat this trauma or this condition. No. But some trauma experiences, especially like one time experience, can be treated very, very quickly with a very few sessions.
That's
But
great. Yeah. You know, I would imagine too, as a result of your caring and concern and expertise, that you get a lot of wonderful commentary and feedback about the successes people have achieved in their lives, the forward movement in their lives as a result of working with you. We have somebody who graciously sent a testimonial video that we'd like to share. Would you like to give us a little information maybe about that client? I believe he's involved with a television news network and more.
okay, well, yes, this is actually a friend of mine. I heard about him. He's suffering nightmares and getting up in the middle of the night,
Mm.
screaming, and that is affecting his current work. But he used to be a bureau chief for CNN and covered all the newsy items in all of Asia and Middle East. And he reported, such incidents as large-scale earthquakes, tsunamis, and flooding, and
Yeah.
even reporting, difficult situations in the war zones. One time he was captured by Taliban and interrogated by Taliban people for 3 days and nights at the gunpoint. He was clever enough to talk them into releasing him, but those accumulation of traumatic and difficult experiences accumulated for 10 years. And then after he moved from CNN to another work in different company, more peaceful actually,
That
more,
happens sometimes. Yeah.
yes, PR work. And 10 years later, after stopped working for CNN, he started to have nightmares, horrific nightmares. And as I said, screaming, waking up screaming, and felt horrendous amount of anxiety. So real noticeable symptoms came up 10 years later. And I heard about this condition that he was experiencing from his in-laws who live in nearby. And I said, well, let me try treating him. And so we connected with a online device. Actually, was FaceTime, and because he was living in Philippines at that time, and it took me four, four, 4 weeks to convince him that this technique works, because he's coming from the cultural background that do not believe in psychotherapies, and treating methods like this was very foreign to him. And he finally agreed to meet with me and receive my techniques. And I was able to treat his difficult memories and difficult conditions that he is at that time experiencing in 5 sessions.
That is amazing. Thanks for sharing that story. And now let's hear his story. And again, we thank him for preparing this video for us from the heart, really expressing his pleasure with your work. Here it is.
My name is Sutendra Bindra, and I'm a former war correspondent. I served many years in the field. I covered a lot of conflict, a lot of tragedy, and a lot of natural disasters such as earthquakes and cyclones. About 7 or 8 months ago, because of my long years in the field, I started getting some terrible nightmares. Now these nightmares took me back to those years that I had served in the field. I saw, for instance, things in my mind that I had seen in reality some 10 or 12 years ago. These nightmares, to say the least, were disturbing, they were upsetting, and my sleep patterns were disturbed. It was at this time that I started working with Dr. Michiyo Ambrosius. And Dr. Ambrosius came up with a very novel way of taking me back to the time where I'd actually seen some of these things. And she then started working with me to try to erase these memories, these bad traumatic memories, and tried to sort of empower me with thinking towards the positive. We did this in a digital manner via a video phone connection. The first 3 sessions really didn't have much impact, but by the 5th session, things were beginning to settle down. I was reporting that I was sleeping better. And a month after I started this treatment, I started sleeping a lot better. I feel great. I do a lot of yoga. I do a lot of active work outside my regular areas of work. I'm a keen sportsman. And this treatment by Dr. Ambrosius, I would classify as something that has put my life back on track. I highly recommend it, and I'm grateful for all the guidance and advice that she's given me. Thank you very much.
How does it make you feel when you hear client comments like that?
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. That's why I say, yay!
See, that's what she demonstrated earlier what you do when you're angry. Now she just demonstrated what you do when you're happy. Yay! Which is so important. You really want to, which I think is a beautiful thing too, is as much as you're working with your individual clients, you really want to build up a community of healers. Tell us more about that, doctor.
Okay, well, it started out with experiencing, COVID lockdown situations, and many people, hordes of people, were knocking on therapist, doors, because lockdown situation is very, very difficult for most people, of course, everybody in many ways. So I have experienced hordes of people looking for therapists who can, treat them and their anxiety, depression, emotional difficulties. And I found that more therapists should be readily available. So I decided to teach coaches and other holistic health practitioners to apply this very effective, quick and effective healing technique to them, and started to train them so that increased number of healers will be serving and healing people around the society, not only in the United States, globally. And that is my wish, to increase more number of healers.
Now you've expanded as well to include a lot of different diverse backgrounds. Your clients come from a lot of different diverse backgrounds as well. Tell us about that.
Well, because I'm, coming from Japan, I receive many clients who originally coming from all the Asian countries, Chinese, Koreans, Japanese, of course, and Middle Easterners, because culturally they very similar, and they feel that I can understand their cultural background and their cultural experiences. So I receive many clients from different countries throughout Asia, Middle Eastern countries, of course, throughout the US, and particularly California, because my license is in California.
Other life coaches too are some of the clients, right?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
They need to increase their activity levels, and limiting beliefs need to be removed, so that their blockages can be removed, and they can focus on their work. So some life coaches who are experiencing their own blockages in their life or professional functioning, I treat them with their emotional difficulties. Also,
Women leaders too.
yes.
which is fantastic.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you offer life coaching services as well as part of your entourage of services.
Yes, yes. So, well, trauma usually create the limiting conditions in people. So they get stuck in their life course. As I said, limiting beliefs such as I'm not lovable.
Mm,
People keep
not
on
good enough.
ignoring
And
some
yeah.
people who are not really loving them. Um, and marriage after marriage, they don't realize that their choice of the mates are controlled by the past trauma
Mm,
experiences or background situations that they experienced that train them to think that they are not lovable. Therefore, they choose their partners who are not quite loving them. Unfortunately, those situations occur
yeah.
very often.
More than you think. Exactly. Tell
Yes.
us about, you have the training program for NBP as well. Tell us
Mm,
more about your training program, doctor.
okay, I have started my NDP training program from the beginning of this year because of the COVID situation, increased client numbers, and I decided to train more people who are interested in becoming healers and meaningful work. So I am having a cycle of training sessions so that I can increase more people who can engage in healing work, and most people find it very, very purposeful and meaningful profession as well.
Do you do a lot of online work? Because everybody's moved online, especially during the pandemic. Online has become so big.
Right.
Do you incorporate a lot of online work as well, doctor?
Oh, yes, yes. All these trainings take place online, and I can demonstrate online. I can, work with their students, trainees online, and have them do the healing um, work online. Perfect, perfect method to teach and heal and communicate, connect. I think that is very life saving to have,
Oh, yeah.
these online technique that are becoming available. Therefore, I can work with people internationally as well.
What is the training program actually like?
Uh, well, usually 10-week sessions, and I talk about being a coach and how um, important that work is, and we call them wholeness coaches after they receive the certification, because these coaches are aiming at making people whole person, and removing of their trauma is one of the healing activities. Um, so, what else can I tell you?
Well, it's just really sort of encapsulating what is amazing at what you do and why you do what you do. Let's talk a little bit now about how you are able to treat trauma on such a large scale.
Ah, okay. Well, once I have demonstrated this NBP technique on a stage among among the audience of about 100 people, And I demonstrated and had the audience to go through the technical gestures and movement and visualizations and breath work. And amazingly, that worked for most people. Of course, it was not, of course, heavy duty trauma items. But so I discovered this technique can work with a number of people in a group settings.
That is really fantastic. And, it leads me to think about some of the benefits of this work. Tell us about some of the wonderful benefits of working with you, doctor.
Well, of course, the trauma memories can be treated and relieved. They become more motivated, ambitious people, and they remove the blockages in their lives and go on to doing meaningful and purposeful work. And they are usually happier and more fulfilled and purposeful, meaningful.
Absolutely. And the sessions too, even when you've done them, various sessions with folks, this is work that for you is truly legacy building, isn't it? What do you think is for you the legacy of this extraordinary work that you're doing, doctor?
Well, unfortunately, we do not have any children because of the trauma that I was experiencing, and I developed eating disorder, and that resulted in infertility problems. And as a result, although infertility treatment applied were not successful, and so we are ending up with no children, no child couples. So I have decided to leave my work and the place to heal as my legacy. So that's why, that's one of the reasons why I started to teach this technique to people and train them so that my work can be carried on by number of people for hopefully for a long time to come.
We know about the legacy. Now I'd love to know why you love this work so much. Why are you so passionate about it and so committed to it? Tell us about the love of this work that you have, doctor.
Well, I have been doing this type of work for 20 years, or a little over 20 years. And every time I successfully treat people, which is a very high number of percentage,
Yes.
I experience such joy and feeling of fulfillment and satisfaction myself.
Which
So,
is so great.
in a way,
Yes.
it's a partially selfish work.
Yeah.
But at the same time contribute to the people's getting better, getting more energetic, more functional. So I really love it.
Well, it is really beautiful work, and it's life-changing for many, and it's so impactful for many as well. And I've always believed that, when you're inspiring and empowering others, it sort of comes back full circle for you as well. And we applaud you and commend you, doctor, on the extraordinary work that you've been doing. And we encourage folks to go to the website to learn more, to connect with Dr. Ambrosius, you can go to traumahealingmethod.com, traumahealingmethod.com. That's the best place to start, right, doctor, to make connection and learn more about your extraordinary work?
Oh, yes, that contains my background stories and methods of my treatment. I'm so-called eclectic healer that use different techniques, not just an NBP, to treat my clients from different angles. So all these descriptions are in there in my website. The programs that I offer will be there as well. Also, you can download the app that I have in my website to get some free gifts like meditation, relaxation recordings, guided imagery recordings. And yeah, various programs to heal people, have them feel more productive and happier, fulfilled, and purposeful. So find those programs. Oh, by the way, self-love and self-esteem increasing classes are starting June the 16th on Thursdays. So I would like to mention that.
That's great.
Many
So if they watch this after that date, they can still go to the website and learn more about those types of courses and classes and sessions and more, right, doctor?
Yes. So I combine those two subject matters together, self-love and self-esteem,
Very
because
important.
you need to have a foundation of self-love in order to develop self-esteem.
Exactly. They go hand in
Many
hand.
people's desire to increase self-esteem so that they can be happier, more productive, and effective in this world.
And more confident too, because when you have that, then you're confident to take on the world's challenges too, right?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, challenge is element of happiness. Do you believe that?
Mhm. Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why people, play golf
Yes.
or, they try to become good athletes or good
Musician or
musicians and painters or, the challenge is this definitely element of making you happy. So, um,
well, you've been making a lot of people happy and joyful, and I know it's a blessing for you to do this work as long as you have, and something that I think was instilled in you early when you first made that voyage over from Japan to the United States, and you've come and have inspired and empowered so many, and wish you continued success and joy in your life, doctor, to continue to create and carve out that path, that beautiful life's journey that you have, and helping people in such a deep and important way. I think it's just absolutely beautiful work. So we commend you, and I thank you for joining me as our special guest here on Close Up Television. It was an extraordinary conversation, and I hope we get a chance to explore some more together as well. That would be a pleasure. I thank you very much for joining us.
well, thank you very much for inviting me. It was a pleasure to speak with you.
Again, folks, if you would like to learn more and connect with Dr. Michiyo Ambrosius, here is that website. Go to traumahealingmethod.com. She's extraordinary. Doctor, thank you once again. And thank you to all of our viewers watching this episode of Close Up Television. We hope you enjoyed it. This is your host, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, join us again soon for another episode of Close Up Television. Till then, for all of us, be well, take care, and thanks for watching. We'll see you
Thank
again
you
next
very
time.
much.